Hey guys, Megan Tennant here, welcome back, and I've got another video for you guys today. Now, in my last video, I did 7 dystopian tropes I hate, but now I have to make the counter video to that, which hopefully you guys like too, even though I'm not ranting, and that is 7 dystopian tropes I love. So for those of you who don't already know, this is the month of dystopian themed videos, and I'm doing that because this is the month that Aletheia launched last year. If you haven't checked out Aletheia already, make sure to check it out. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Book Depository, all sorts of places. You can also walk into a Barnes & Noble and request that they ship one to your location. So number 1 dystopian trope, which I love, is war.
War. Terrible war.
Most importantly, war that isn't black and white. So like the wars where you have multiple sides, but there isn't a clear image of who should win. One of the best examples of this I have isn't actually a book, it's a TV series, and that is The 100. And The 100 does so well at having these different factions constantly kind of battling each other, but each one is right and wrong in their own ways, and there's no clear show of like what side should win. And I tried really hard to emulate that in Aletheia. Like I wanted to show that in normal stories, bad guys don't think they're the bad guy, you know? In every war, each side thinks they're in the right, and each side has reasons for fighting in this war, and it isn't black and white. And so I love when stories do that. Trope number 2, which I love, is everyone f***ing dies. I like that in dystopia, the consequences are just at a max. In a lot of genres, like the ones that I don't read, like contemporary, like the ultimate consequences, maybe you lose a job or you lose a lover or something like that. And I just find it really hard to get into those stories. But in dystopia, like the consequences are just complete death. Like generally worst case scenario, everybody dies. Best case scenario, some people die. Even in the more flowery dystopias, I mean the selection's about a girl in a competition to have this man be her husband kind of thing. It's like a reverse of The Bachelor or non-reverse of The Bachelor. I haven't watched The Bachelor, so I don't know if The Bachelor is a lot of guys and one girl or a lot of girls and one guy. But even though like the core concept of the book is about this like romantic competition thing, there's still people dying, and I love that. And I sound really, really unbalanced right now. But again, it comes down to just the consequences. So like every scene is more intense because you know that a character could actually die. Trope number 3, which I love, is somewhat overdone. This one's very common in YA, but there's a part of me that really loves it, especially when it's done well, and that is Rites of Passage. So trying to write a Rites of Passage style story without it feeling overdone and cliche, that is a hard thing to do. I did not get anywhere near that line. I was not doing that. But when it's done well, it can be really great. Again, this is common in YA, and it's common in YA for a reason, because it takes you to a time where you are trying to find yourself and find your place in the world. It's a hard trope to work with, so I don't have a lot to say on the matter because I don't want to like talk out my ass and say something that comes back to bite me on how to do this. Like I don't know how to do this correctly. I just know that some books do it in a way that I enjoy. Trope number 4, which I love. This one is very, very common in dystopia. It's pretty much the bread and butter of dystopia, but there are a lot of books that avoid it nowadays because some people call it a cliche. I still think it's a foundation of the genre and therefore can't be cliche, and I will battle against you if you call it a cliche, and that is corrupt government. And sometimes this trope is stretched a little bit in a different direction where it's just like pockets of power, which is kind of what I did with Aletheia, is the prophet in charge of this city, and then we have other pockets of power throughout the world. You guys don't see a lot of that in Aletheia, but we'll see more of it later. The trope that I love being that there is this source of power which is corrupt and needs to be taken down. Which brings us right into trope number 5, which I love, and that is rebellion. At the heart of all of the best dystopias is a rebellion to take down this corrupt government, and I live for those books. For example, The Hunger Games. The first book was great because it's kids murdering each other. That's always fun. But in later books, we get more into the actual taking down of the capital and the rebellion. The whole concept concept and theme of people rising up together to take down like a greater power. I just live for that. I can't remember if it was the first or the second Mockingjay movie. They broke it into parts. That always throws me off. But them destroying the dam and the water and like people sacrificing themselves and everyone rising up to fight against the Capitol, and the Hanging Tree song is playing in the background. And that part just gets me so incredibly inspired. A large part of it is the music and the visuals. That was very well executed, but it's also just the concept in general of the underdogs rising up and banding together and cooperating to bring down something that they couldn't otherwise bring down on their own. It's such a beautiful concept to me. And that might sound weird because, like, you know, bringing down this corrupt government involves war and people dying and it's bloody and gory and violent. But whenever I'm feeling uninspired to write dystopian, I pull up the clip from that scene in Mockingjay and I watch it and I get so instantly pumped to write dystopian. That scene just gets me every time. Trope number 6, which I love. This one is incredibly overdone and some of you out there might hate it, and I don't even care. I'm gonna just up and say that I love it, and that is a strong female lead in dystopia. I know that pretty much every dystopia out there, even the dystopias written by male writers, it's always a female lead. I mean, we have Rick Yancey with The Fifth Wave, female lead. We have Scott Westerfield with Uglies, female lead. So I know that it is incredibly overdone, but I just really love it, and it is biased on my part. It is in large part because I can better put myself into the character. For the sake of boys reading dystopian literature, I do kind of wish we had more male leads in dystopia. I get that. I like equality, so on that level, I do want more male leads in dystopia. I understand that this trope isn't the most inclusive, but on a personal level, as a reader, I love that trope because it lets me connect more with these books. And last but not least, I'm calling it a trope for the sake of this video. Trope number 7, which I love. A lot of you guys hate with a passion, and I don't care. I'm just gonna say it. I love it. That is first person present tense. I know a lot of people struggle to read first person present tense, and a lot of it is that we did mostly grow up reading third person. So for a lot of people, third person is what's familiar and what's easier for them to imagine. And then dystopia comes in, and in dystopia, it's very common for it to always be first person present tense. And a lot of people don't like that about dystopia, but I personally love it. And that's largely because it lets you better put yourself into the shoes of the main character and directly experience the very raw emotions and violence and the harsh reality that that character is living. And usually the best way to portray raw emotion, I believe, is first person present tense. The exception being that I've found that there's a different form of third person. I can't remember the name of it. The first time that I really saw this in action was actually Jenna Maressy's The Savior's Champion, where it's in third person, but you're very much in the mind of a single character. There's one POV, you're not hopping around. So even though it's third person, my brain can interpret it as kind of first person. But the normal third person, where you're flitting between characters all over the place and you never know what character's head you're supposed to be in, I don't like that very much. And especially when it comes to dystopia, where I want to be in that character's mind and I want to be living the hardships right along with them. And that was it. That was 7 tropes that I love in dystopia. I know some of these are overdone, but I love them anyways. You can fight me down in the comments down below, or if you agree with me, let me know which ones you agree on. I know some of these are kind of not commonly loved. Just know that these are my personal opinions. Give this video a like if you liked it, if you agreed with any of these. Also give it a share. Our channel is so close to 1,000 subs. Any interaction on this video is huge for us right now. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. There's also a bell. And thank you guys for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video.